Open your wallet right now. Take out a piece of paper cash. A 20, a 50, or a $100 bill. Hold it in your hand. Feel the texture of the linen and cotton blend. Look at the intricate green ink, the security threads, and the face of the dead president staring back at you. You trust this piece of paper, don't you? You trade your time, your energy, your stress, and sometimes your health, just to get your hands on more of it. You wake up early, you sit in traffic, you deal with a boss you might not even like, and you sacrifice time with your family, all to accumulate these green rectangles. But what if I told you that this thing you hold so dearly, this thing you base your entire sense of security and future on, is actually the most successful psychological illusion in human history? What if the money you are desperately trying to save was originally invented as a desperate, temporary scam to avoid bankruptcy? Welcome to Wicks Wealth. I am Wick, your personal financial guide. I might just be a candle, but my flame is here to shed light on the darkest, best-kept secrets of the financial world. Today, we are going completely back in time to uncover the insane, almost unbelievable origin of the United States dollar. We are going to explore how one of the greatest presidents in history accidentally created a system that is quietly draining your wealth right now. And most importantly, I am going to show you exactly how to stop being a victim of this system and start building real, generational wealth. Let us start with a fundamental psychological problem: how we think about money. From the moment we are born, we are conditioned to believe that money has intrinsic value. We think a $100 bill is valuable because it just is. We are taught to work hard, earn cash, put that cash in a savings account, and keep it there. We feel a deep, comforting sense of psychological safety when we see a large number sitting in our bank app. It feels like a warm blanket. But this belief that cash is a safe haven is the biggest mistake you can make with your finances. We treat money as if it is a solid object, like a rock. But in reality, money is more like me. It is a burning candle. And right now, your cash is melting. To understand why your money is melting, and why saving cash is a guaranteed way to go broke slowly, we have to travel back in time. We need to go back to a time before the Federal Reserve, before credit scores, and before the US dollar even existed as we know it today. Imagine it is the year 1860. You are walking down a dusty street in America, and you want to buy a cup of coffee or a loaf of bread. You pull out your wallet, but you do not have green dollars. Instead, you have a chaotic, colorful mess of paper. At this time in history, the United States financial system was an absolute joke. There was no single, unified currency. The government did not print paper money. Instead, money was printed by private banks. This was the era of wildcat banking. Any bank, anywhere in the country, could just open its doors and start printing its own money. There were over 8,000 different types of paper money floating around the country. You had notes with pictures of beavers, notes with trains, notes with local politicians. Imagine trying to go to the grocery store today, but the cashier tells you they do not accept your money because it was printed by Bob's Bank of Ohio and they only take Steve's Bank of New York money. It was total chaos. The only reason anyone accepted these random pieces of paper was because of a psychological promise. Every paper note was supposedly backed by real, physical gold or silver sitting in that specific bank's vault. The paper was just a receipt. You could, in theory, walk into the bank, hand them the paper, and get heavy, shiny gold in return. Gold was the real money. Paper was just a convenient way to carry it. As long as people believed the gold was there, the system worked. But then, the ultimate crisis hit. In 1861, the American Civil War broke out. Wars are incredibly expensive. You have to buy cannons, rifles, uniforms, food, and you have to pay hundreds of thousands of soldiers. President Abraham Lincoln and his government quickly realized they had a massive problem. The government had to pay for this massive war, but their vaults were rapidly running completely empty. People were panicking. When people panic, they want real safety. So, citizens rushed to the banks, demanded their gold, and hoarded it under their mattresses. By the end of 1861, the U.S. government and the major banks had to suspend the exchange of paper for gold. They simply did not have enough gold to keep the country running. The United States government was effectively bankrupt. Lincoln was staring into the abyss. If he could not pay his soldiers, the army would collapse, the war would be lost, and the nation would be permanently destroyed. He needed a miracle. Or, rather, he needed a brilliantly executed illusion. Lincoln and his Treasury Secretary sat down and did the unthinkable. They looked at the empty gold vaults and decided that they did not need gold to make money. They just needed the law. In 1862, Congress passed the Legal Tender Act. This act allowed the government to print $150 million in brand new paper money. But here is the massive twist that changed history forever: this new money was backed by absolutely nothing. No gold, no silver, no land, nothing. It was backed only by the promise of the United States government. To prevent counterfeiters from easily copying this new money, they printed the back of the notes using a patented, anti-photographic green ink. Instantly, the public gave them a nickname that we still use today: greenbacks. But how do you force a population to accept paper that is backed by nothing? This is where the psychological genius, and the danger, comes in. The government declared by law that these greenbacks were legal tender for all debts, public and private. This meant that if you owed someone $100 in gold, you could legally hand them $100 in printed greenbacks, and they had to accept it, or the debt was legally cancelled. Imagine that today. Imagine you owe your friend $1,000, so you just draw a picture of $1,000 on a napkin, and the government says your friend legally has to accept your napkin. That is essentially what Lincoln did. He invented fiat money out of thin air to save the country. Fiat is a Latin word that means "let it be done" or "by decree." The money had value simply because the government said it had value, and because people collectively agreed to believe the illusion. It was a shared hallucination. And it worked. The Union Army got paid, the soldiers bought food, the economy kept moving, and the North eventually won the war. Lincoln's desperate wartime measure was a masterstroke of survival. But this brings us to the dark truth. The hidden catch that is actively stealing your wealth today. When you print money out of thin air, you do not create new wealth. You simply dilute the value of all the existing money. Think of it like a pizza. If you have a pizza cut into 8 slices, and you suddenly decide to cut it into 16 slices, you did not magically create more pizza. You just made every individual slice smaller and less satisfying. This is inflation. When Lincoln printed the greenbacks, the money supply expanded, and the value of the paper dropped. During the Civil War, the inflation rate exploded. Prices for everyday goods doubled, then tripled. People realized that the green paper in their hands was buying less and less every single week. And this is the exact same system we live under today. The emergency measure of 1862 became the permanent reality of the modern world. In 1971, the US dollar was officially and permanently severed from gold. Today, your money is completely fiat. It is backed by nothing but faith. And because the government and central banks can print an infinite amount of it, which they do, especially during modern crises, the purchasing power of your cash is constantly dropping. Since the original greenback was printed, the US dollar has lost over 95% of its purchasing power. Let that sink in. The money you are working so hard to save is designed to lose its value over time. This is the profound financial mistake that keeps the middle class trapped. We are taught to be savers. We are taught to put our money in a bank account earning 1 or 2% interest, while the real cost of living goes up by 5, 7, or 10% a year. Every day your money sits in cash, it is quietly being stolen by inflation. You are holding on to a melting ice cube. Or, as I like to say, you are holding on to a burning candle, and the wax is dripping away. So, what is the solution? How do you protect yourself from a system that is designed to dilute your wealth? You have to stop playing the game by the rules of the 1860s. You have to stop hoarding the illusion and start owning reality. The top 1% of wealthy people do not keep their net worth in cash. They understand that cash is not a store of value, it is a medium of exchange. It is a tool meant to be used, not hoarded. To build true, lasting wealth, you must take your melting paper and exchange it for hard assets. An asset is something that holds its value, or pays you money, regardless of what the government's printing press is doing. This means buying real estate. It means investing in the stock market, buying shares of real businesses that produce real goods and services. It means owning commodities, or investing in yourself to increase your earning power. When they print more money, the price of your groceries goes up, but so does the value of your house, and so does the value of your stock portfolio. You need to shift your psychology from being a consumer of depreciating assets to an owner of appreciating assets. And here is a powerful trick to help you do that. Whenever you feel the urge to trade your hard-earned cash for a liability, like a new car you don't need, or an expensive gadget, use the 72-hour rule. Step away and wait 72 hours before making the purchase. Let the emotional heat of the moment fade. 9 times out of 10, you will realize you don't actually need it, and you can take that cash and buy an asset instead. You can buy a piece of a company that will pay you dividends for the rest of your life. Abraham Lincoln was a brilliant leader who did what he had to do to save a nation from tearing itself apart. He invented the modern paper dollar out of absolute necessity. But the temporary fix became a permanent trap. The money in your pocket is not a safe haven. It is an IOU backed by a system that requires inflation to survive. Do not let your hard work melt away. Respect your time, respect your energy, and respect your future. Stop saving fake money and start buying real assets. If this changed the way you look at the money in your wallet, and you want to learn more about how to protect your wealth and outsmart the system, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below and tell me, what is the first asset you are going to buy to protect yourself from the melting dollar? Keep your flame burning bright, invest wisely, and I will see you in the next one. Your money. Your rules. Until next time, keep that flame of financial wisdom burning bright. I'm Wick, and this is Wick's Wealth.